I see it.
Yay!
So as you guys are hopping on, if you're live with us, say hello in the chat. Feel free to ask questions. One of the things that Diana and I will both do is go back periodically to see if you guys have any questions. Feel free to reach out to us too, like one-on-one. If there's something that Diana hits on or I hit on that you're like, oh, I really want to expand on that. That's what this time is for those who are considering it, being at Reach Retreat with us, or this is on their radar, to get an idea of what the energy feels like from our Reach Retreat leaders and speakers, what they're going to be bringing to you, and why you need to be here with us. So I'm going to go ahead and put in the chat to say hello, and then we can dive in.
For sure.
This is super casual, guys. We're just having a conversation, telling you a little bit of background. And I'm excited too, because Delaney's been to Reach Retreat. She was one of our previous interviews, but you've been a leader and a speaker all 3 years. Like, we're going into year 3. So you have a lot of history. You know what it's like to be in that. Okay, so we're just going to dive in. I'm going to give kind of an informal shout out to Diana and share a little bit about why it's special to have her as a part of Reach Retreat, why I keep asking her to come back, and then she can tell you all the ways of why she's so incredible. But Diana and I connected through an online community back in 2019. Yeah, it was 2019. And we had never met in person, but this woman's energy just kept drawing me in. I wanted to be around her. I wanted to be in her spaces. And so I had this idea of creating this community of women that would come together, that were like-minded, that would support each other, elevate each other. And I just, at that stage, I was like, don't even know what it's going to be called. This is just a vision I have. So I awkwardly messaged Diana. I don't really know if she even knew who I was. I was just an online creeper. And I was like, hey, we went to this similar event, and I just keep seeing you everywhere. And what you talk about is exactly what I need, what I feel like women in business, women in life, that's what we need. And so I said, I have this crazy idea. Will you hear me out? So we just hop on a call and I share my vision with her. And she said, yes, whatever it looks like, it's a yes. I want to be a part of it. And so that was my start to having a speaker as a part of Reach Retreat. And then it expanded. We had 2 speakers for year 1. We had 4 for year 2. And then every year I'm like, Diana, are you still good? You want to come back? And every year she's like, yes, if it's Reach Retreat, yes. So she's coming back as a speaker and leader for July. It's a retreat in Savannah. And she's got some special deep healing, really stepping into our empowered identity and seeing how past traumas and things that affect us on the inside reflect and affect us in our businesses, in our life, how we parent. So Diana, that's my informal, heartfelt, I'm so glad that you're here and going with us. But why don't you tell them about your years of being a counselor and an author and all the things that you get to do?
Thank you so much. First, I definitely said yes, because if you have not been around Danielle, you're missing out, because her energy is infectious. And right from that conversation, I knew I wanted to be part of it. I was like, I don't even know what it's going to look like, but I'm in. I'm in. And so I have not regretted it. That's why I'm coming back year 3. Reach Retreat is just so special. But before we go on to what's so special, let me tell you a little bit about me. Like she said, my name is Diana Guintu, and I'm a life coach for professional working women. And my background is, I've been a counselor for 20 years. I'm not even that old, to be honest, but I have 20 years of clinical experience as a licensed professional counselor and as a corporate health coach. And I moved into the coaching space about 10 years ago and have never looked back. It is just such a space that I thrive in and my clients thrive in. So I'm excited to do public speaking and help other women, find their passion. I'm also a published author. I published my book in 2020, which was right smack in the middle of the pandemic. But it's called Breaking Free. It really is a book about transforming your past, healing your past, and moving into an empowered identity. The book is called Breaking Free, which is so just perfect of the power of healing yourself and what it can do to you. And I think that's what we're going to be diving into today, is really understanding that healing your past is literally not just about healing the trauma, but it's also about like, what's your future like? You know, because we can't control our past, but we can sure influence and control our future. So I'm excited for this conversation.
Yes, me too. And that's what I wanted to expand on. We can't give them all the details because they have to be with us in that space to really experience it. But I want you to talk a little bit about like why is it such a passion of yours to teach and educate us as women and empower us to step into that new identity? And why is it so important? I know this is two questions, but why is it so important to revisit some of these things from our past and give them attention and healing in order to move forward? Is that too much in one?
Well, yeah. Well, here's the thing. One of the things that I realized through my own journey of healing, I have trauma in my past, and I'm a high achiever. I was kind of going about my life thinking like, oh, like it's not affecting me. And then I hit rock bottom. And I think a lot of the women that I work with now, and the women, some that will be at Retreat, is that it's not a matter of like you being sort of in like fetal position in trauma, like, because I think a lot of times we picture that as like, well, I'm still have a job, I still have success, I'm still have a family. And so it's not a matter of like you overcoming your trauma. Chances are you're probably, if you're listening to this, you probably have done some work with trauma, some work with identifying some of those things from your past. But true healing comes from where we're really able to step into that, what I refer to as our empowered identity, right? Letting go of those limitations, letting go of that mentality of what were sort of the effects of the trauma. And I think for me, which is why my book is called Breaking Free, because I really did a lot of work on what did it mean to sort of really shed myself from those limitations that I felt a prisoner in, even though I was doing all these things. So I think to the second question that you asked is like, how does that affect, right, you moving forward? What I have seen with my clients, I'm not a business coach. I don't claim to be business coach. But one of the things that I see is I have clients that come to me because they're not making sales, they're struggling with their money, they're not showing up like they want in their business. And when we work on clearing out that emotional baggage, they like soar. You know, they make more money, they're able to boost their business, they follow their dreams. So healing your trauma or your past, it's really about sort of like reinventing, right? Rewriting your story. And I think that's the power of it, is that you get to decide moving forward what that story is, and you get to write it.
And when you say empowered, like I'm like sitting here waiting to like just share, just because being, even as a leader myself at Retreat and recently spoke at Retreat, which is part of what I'm going to share, is we gain so much from each other, but we learn so much from each speaker and leader. And for me, I'm sitting at the feet of Diana in these intimate spaces, and no lie, year one, year two, I released a limiting belief. I'm working on year two still, but year one, I didn't speak at Retreat, you guys. I created a space and hired speakers because I honestly felt like no one wanted to learn from me. And it almost, it just makes, I didn't plan on sharing this. Diana's like, where is this coming from? We didn't talk about this. But we sat in a little intimate group as part of our breakout session with Diana year one. And she said, I want you guys to really think about the things that are holding you back. And mine was, who wants to learn from me because I don't have a college degree? And when she says like unlocking an empowered identity, guys, since that moment, I spoke at Retreat. I launched a coaching company. I've planned year 3 of Retreat. So there's a lot of other work that went on, but when I look back, had I continued to live like this, I don't have what it takes to educate someone, or I'm not qualified, then I wouldn't be able to do what I'm doing now. And it has given me a different kind of freedom as a mom, as a wife, as a business owner, and like the impact I'm getting to create because I work past it. And so when she says empowered, like I do feel empowered because of that. And it's so crazy because year two, I wasn't even sure, like it hit me out of nowhere what was actually affecting me. I wasn't even aware of it. So when she's saying you're not in a fetal position, traumatized, can't move, can't work, but there are so many things that you haven't even discovered that are putting up this wall to keep you from stepping into what you're actually called to do. And that's beautiful work. That, like you said, you're not a business coach, but look what it opened up for me, even as a leader that creates this space. So,
yeah. And I think that's the power. And I think what you have said is like, I think there's a quote by Chris Hogan who says like, somebody out there is waiting for you to become who you're meant to be. Mm-hmm. And I think that that's what happened. It's like, look at all the lives that you have impacted just in the last year, from you breaking free from that limiting belief that came from trauma, right? Came from some kind of pain from your past. And I think even just like when we're talking about being in this intimate space, the safetiness that we create, I think as leaders, like, you know, that's one of the things, my favorite parts of Reach Retreat is that when you are going to Reach Retreat, like there's immediately you enter like a safe bubble. And some of these things that you might not realize, right, that are under the surface, that are kind of subconsciously or even unconsciously sort of really affecting you in this safe space, they might come up. And that is when you get to decide, right? You get to choose and you get to sort of empower yourself to choose differently. So very powerful.
Well, and that's what I wanted to expand on too, is, you know, having Diana as a speaker and being able to hear, you know, her presentation or conversation is more what it's like. It's more like a conversation, and we get to learn from her and hear the stories of some, you know, others that have gone and done this work. But then we have that one-on-one time with Diana. So when those things do come up, we're like, okay, we have a licensed counselor who is present if that happens, if we need that. And I think that's a huge asset that you bring to Reach Retreat. You know, it's not like you're going into a room and sitting down and having a counseling session necessarily, but like there's just that presence of safety if we want to get vulnerable or something does come up, that you're there with us. But with Reach Retreat being more intimate this year, we talked about possible process type sessions. Do you want to talk a little bit about what that would look like?
Yeah, I think like when you are going to anything like a conference, a workshop, things are going to come up, right? Because most of the time in everyday life, we stuff it down. We stuff it down. We got to cook dinner. We got to show up to a meeting. Like we got things to do. Where most people, if you're sitting here listening to this, you are probably like a busy working person, right? Like, I mean, you are busy, you got a lot on your plate. And so a lot of times we're sort of functioning out of default, right? We're not being in tune, we're not being intentional. It's just what we have to do to keep the ball rolling, sort of speak. And when you get to Reach Retreat and you get to slow down and you get to really open yourself, some things come up, right? And one of the things that I love about Reach Retreat, it's one of my favorite things, is that there's opportunity to process it, right? So that you're not just going home, because I don't know about you ladies, but I have gone to conferences where I've been hugely impacted. And then I've just been driving home like, I got to cook dinner. Like now what, right? Like now what do I do with this, right? And I think that's the beauty of a retreat versus a workshop, is that during the retreat, you're going to be able to get to a place of clarity and have like a strategy before you go back and live your life, so that you don't just like go and be inspired, but you actually go and be transformed, right? So that when you go back home, you have tools on your toolbox that are going to continue to propel you forward versus just feeling inspired in the moment and then going back to washing the dishes. You know what I mean? Like you have to have some process. And I love that Reach Retreat, the intimate setting, you get to sit around, you get to process. And like Danielle said, I am a licensed professional counselor. So I am there to guide, right? So that it doesn't become this like just open and it's messy and we don't know how to put it back together, right? Don't worry about that, because there is definitely some, you know, some guidelines that we have in place so that you can feel protected and everybody gets their turn and everybody gets heard.
Yeah, exactly. And I wanted to reverse a little bit because you were talking about too of like how everyone just kind of feels safe. And I really wanted to hit on like the testimonial video that we had just from this last retreat. That was what we kept hearing. We kept hearing when I connected with women's stories, I realized that I wasn't just someone that felt alone in this, like other people related to what was going on. And not everything is this big, traumatic, like horrific story, but it's still, no matter the size, it still affects us. And so some people's stories were maybe a little harder to hear than others, but because they felt safe and supported, it was sometimes for some of them, it was their first time to even say it out loud, what they felt like was holding them back. I mean, from how we physically see ourselves and how it holds us back in our businesses, our self-confidence, the ability to have a business and be a mom and not feel shamed for that. And just there were so many different things that came up, and they just kept saying, I felt like I found my tribe. I feel like I found a community of women that are like me. I felt like I'm going to leave this place and I'm going to have support. And that is what Reach or Treat for me, that was my whole idea was, yeah, we can go grow our businesses. We're going to do some amazing work and we're going to be able to walk away feeling empowered and more confident around like selling and all of those things. But also like, this is the type of work that you can't separate. You're not going to Reach or Treat just to grow your business. It is both. It is an intentional life and an intentional business, because if you're only taking care of this side, eventually this is going to crumble, or vice versa. And so when people say, oh, is it a business retreat? I'm like, no, it's an intentional retreat for your life and for your business, because it goes hand in hand. You cannot separate the two. And so many times we try to do that and we're succeeding so well over here, but we're being weighed down and drained over here. And so that's where like the whole holistic, we're going life, we're going mindset, we're going business, we're going physical body. Like we are holistically whole body approaching our businesses and our life. So I'm very excited for them to get to hear from you, to get to experience what all these other Reach or Treaters have talked about. I mean, you bring so much. You're such a heart to Reach or Treat. And so I wanted these women that are interested to just hear from you. Like, go follow her on social media. Look at her energy, guys. She's a mom. She works full time. She coaches. She's doing all of the things. And she understands when we're feeling high, when we're feeling low, and how to own part of our past to propel us forward. Diana, is there more you want to hit on? Like, just like your experiences of Reach or Treat or anything?
Well, it's just amazing. I wish there was a word that was better to describe it, but I think it just goes like, if you're looking for a space where you can unwind, you can get inspired, you can transform, like Danielle said, it's like, it's everything. It's just so magical. And I'll tell you what, like the meals, the way Danielle has such a gift for detail. I mean, there's not going to be one thing that you're going to look back and be like, what was that? Like, everything is just so curated for you to have the best experience. And everything that she does, the selection of the napkins, the selection of the food, everything has a reason. And we're going to Savannah. I mean, I cannot wait. I'm super, super excited for this next retreat. I think it's just going to be, this is what we need. This is what we need in 2022. We need to really lean into our partnerships with other women and find time to refuel and reset ourselves.
Yeah, I love that you said partnership, because that's another thing that Reach or Treat has been. Is I recently shared a post about like what types of women come to Reach or Treat, like how do they identify? And so I literally was like, this woman, she is a real estate agent. This woman is a wine dealer. Like, this woman, she's a coach, financial advisor. What is really neat about that is, instead of just saying this is a retreat for creatives, we meet you where you're at in your business. So you're going to come to this event feeling supported because we get to know you intimately inside the Facebook group. We get to connect before we get there. We get to see what you're struggling with. And because the intimacy, it's like 6 to 10 ratio as far as leaders and attendees. That's insane. And so instead of going to a conference and being like, oh, I took away like 2 or 3 things, and then, I don't know how to process it or implement it when I get home. That's not going to happen. Like that is not going to happen with Reach Retreat. And I wanted to even make sure that these women felt supported leaving, even my leaders leaving this event. And what we take away is I want to help you guys make a roadmap, you know, and when you leave that place, you feel supported going into this more empowered identity, and tackle what's possible for you in your business. But yeah, the details like the forks and the plates and the cups, all the things that I think of, the swag bags and little gifts, it isn't unnecessary. It's necessary because we as women, like we don't get that. We don't get to be sitting at a table with candlelight dinner and food served to us unless you guys are just super bougie and I'm left out of that. But we don't get that time very much for ourselves. And to not think about anything besides being present in the moment and working on ourselves. I can't tell you, other than being at Reach Retreat, like I can't really tell you when I do that. I mean, I set for myself and I try to meditate, but like I just don't have undistracted time to just truly focus on me. And everyone benefits from that when we get home, right? I mean,
100%. I mean, I think this is not, and here's the thing, I think as women, we're always like, oh, I don't know how this will impact my family. Trust me when I say, when you get back, you're going to be a better mom, a better wife, a better boss, a better anything, because you can, I know we've heard this, but I want you to really hear it right now, is that you can't give from an empty cup. And you can't take money from an empty bank account. Like there's just no way, right? So you need to really know how to replenish it, how to really, you know, be able to, so that you can get more, so that you can come and be the person that you want to be with your loved ones. Because I don't know about you, but this is why I'm doing all this. This is for my family. So if I am not giving them 100% and they're only getting the crumbs, then there's something wrong with that picture.
Yeah, because investing in ourselves, it gives them permission. I remember you talked about that in the first year. When I show up for me, I'm showing my daughter how to show up for herself. When I go for a walk, when I don't feel well, my daughter goes for a walk when she doesn't feel well. Like they're watching and they're learning how we take care of ourselves and prioritize ourselves. And that's a beautiful thing to see in our daughters. Our daughters are both 12. Like she's 12. Yeah, we both have 12-year-old daughters. And my stepdaughter's 14. So like seeing them doing those things, I'm like, they see mom taking care of herself, and that is a game changer. Okay, so I'm going to wrap up so that anybody that has questions or wants to catch the replay, they definitely have time to just listen to it. Even like a podcast, guys, you don't have to look at our faces, although Diana looks gorgeous. But you can just tune in. If Reach Retreat has been on your radar, or maybe this is the first time that you even heard of it, I encourage you to go to the website, message Diana, get intimate, like message us. We want to talk about it. There's an application on the website or in my bio to just have a coffee or a tea and talk about how can Reach Retreat serve you. It's just a conversation. We only have 5 spots remaining for Reach Retreat, and we're going to be there July 14th through the 18th. Other than getting to Savannah, you don't lift a finger, you don't pay for anything. Like it's all inclusive. We're going to the beach, Tybee Island, all day. It's our final day together, to just be together and enjoy each other's company and have that time, like Diana said, to process. You're not coming off this really intense session and going straight home. Like you have a downtime. We're in an 1800s historic estate in the historic district. I just can't even. There's so many things to experience.
So many things.
Yeah. So if you're interested, reach out to one of us. We'd love to see you there. And Diana, I think if we don't have anything else to add, we can end.
No, I'll see you there, ladies.
Bye, you guys.